This hidden mindset test will decide if you ever win in life. Number 87. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wealthy Life, a channel for your personal growth, awakening, and financial wisdom. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to make the right decisions at the hardest moments, while others collapse under pressure, even though both had the same opportunities? Why does one leader, entrepreneur, or even an ordinary parent rise above chaos with calm clarity, while another gets trapped in stress, anger, or fear? The answer often lies in what I call the sage mindset. But here's the truth. Having the sage mindset isn't enough. Life will test you over and over again to see if you truly embody it. And there are 3 key trials that almost everyone will face, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth. Test 1. The trial of ego, when pride blocks clarity. Because success, even small success, whispers lies to our mind. It tells us, you already know enough. You don't need to listen. You are above correction. The human ego craves recognition. But the sage mindset reminds us, the moment you believe you know it all, you've already stopped growing. Take the story of Steve Jobs. When he first rose to fame in the 1980s, his brilliance was undeniable, but so was his arrogance. He became impossible to work with. Eventually, Apple's board fired him from the very company he founded. Imagine the humiliation. But here's the twist. Jobs later admitted that getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to him. He said it freed him to enter one of the most creative periods of his life, founding Next and Pixar. When he returned to Apple years later, he wasn't just a genius. He was wiser, humbler, and far more effective. Passing the trial of ego requires deliberate humility. A sage pauses and asks, am I defending my pride or am I seeking truth? Keep a mentor or accountability partner who can speak hard truths to you. Ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once said, he who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. But here's the irony. You often need others to truly know yourself. Warren Buffett surrounds himself with brutally honest partners like Charlie Munger, who cut through any illusions. That's how he avoids the blind spots that ego creates. Test 2. The trial of fear, when uncertainty paralyzes action. Why does this happen? Because our brains are wired for survival, not success. Fear whispers, if you risk this, you'll lose everything. Fear magnifies worst-case scenarios and blinds us to opportunity. Think of J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Before fame, she was a struggling single mother on welfare, depressed and afraid her dream was foolish. Publishers rejected her manuscript 12 times. Fear could have paralyzed her into silence, but instead, she reframed it. Rowling later said, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Instead of letting fear stop her, she let it strip away everything unimportant so she could focus on what mattered, writing. Passing the trial of fear requires reframing uncertainty as possibility. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what if I learn something that changes everything? Write down the absolute worst-case scenario of your risk. Most of the time, you'll realize it's survivable. Then ask yourself, what's the best-case scenario? Suddenly, fear shrinks and opportunity grows. This is exactly what Stoic philosopher Seneca recommended. Regularly practice imagining poverty or loss, so fear loses its sting. The sage mindset is not about ignoring fear. It's about moving forward with wisdom in spite of it. Test 3. The trial of patience, when impatience destroys long-term gains. Why does this happen? Because modern life conditions us for instant gratification. We want quick profits, fast promotions, overnight success. But real mastery, real wealth, real love, these require time, persistence, and patience. Think about the bamboo tree. For years after planting, nothing seems to grow. But underground, roots are spreading wide and deep. Then suddenly, in the 5th year, the bamboo shoots up over 80 feet in just weeks. The impatient farmer would have abandoned it long before. The sage farmer waits, nourishes, and trusts the unseen process. In business, Jeff Bezos built Amazon with a 10-year horizon. For years, critics mocked the company for losing money, calling it Amazon.bomb. But Bezos's patience, his sage mindset, was to sacrifice short-term applause for long-term dominance. Today, his vision looks obvious, but back then, it required extraordinary patience. Passing the trial of patience means embracing the long game. Ask yourself, am I chasing dopamine or am I building destiny? Try to measure progress not only in immediate results, but in habits built, knowledge gained, and resilience developed. Remember the words of Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. A man once asked a wise monk, "How long will it take me to reach enlightenment?" The monk replied, 10 years. The man said, "What if I work twice as hard?" The monk smiled, then 20 years. Why? Because impatience itself becomes the obstacle. Why these three trials always appear? You might wonder, why are ego, fear, and impatience the universal tests of the sage mindset? The answer is simple. Ego blinds us to truth. Without humility, we cannot learn. Fear blocks our courage. Without bravery, we cannot act. Impatience destroys perseverance. Without endurance, we cannot finish. These are not random struggles. They're the exact pressure points that life uses to refine wisdom. And here's the secret. Life will keep sending you the same trial, again and again, until you finally pass it. So how can we cultivate the sage mindset daily? 1. Practice reflection. Write down where ego, fear, or impatience showed up in your day. Awareness is the first step. 2. Seek mentors. Surround yourself with people who challenge your blind spots and remind you of the long game. 3. Choose stories carefully. The books, movies, and history you consume aren't just entertainment. They are models of mindset. Choose heroes who embody the sage mindset. 4. Build rituals of patience. Meditation, journaling, even gardening. Practices that slow you down. Train your mind to embrace process over outcome. Let me share a final story for you on the hidden power of the sage mindset. In the classic movie, The Lord of the Rings, Frodo carries the unbearable burden of the ring. Fear tempts him. Ego tempts him. Impatience tempts him to give up. But what saves him is not raw strength. It's the sage mindset. Humility to rely on friends. Courage to keep walking into Mordor. Patience to endure suffering until the journey ends. That's the lesson. The sage doesn't win because life is easy. The sage wins because they endure the hardest test with clarity. So here's the question. Which trial are you facing right now? Ego, fear, or impatience? Maybe you failed it before. But remember, life will always give you another chance to retake the test. The sage mindset is not about perfection. It's about learning faster each time. And when you pass these three trials, you unlock something rare. A life not ruled by pride, fear, or haste, but guided by wisdom, courage, and vision. And that's when you stop just surviving and start truly winning. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, like, and share the video. May you soon discover your true direction in life.